TED Talks, brought to you by Erbs and Gerbs. Go online and check out their delightful sandwich menus and soups. Order yourself something today.
Ted Schwerzler at TL Schwers on Twitter and from Twins Daily for another weekly TED Talks. Talking Twins as spring training comes to an end. It's been a quiet little bit here for Minnesota, but as spring training comes to a close, things are getting a little bit more exciting. The roster is starting to come into a little bit more clarity. The pitching side of things looks like the Twins will be very flush with depth, especially in the rotation. I don't expect them to go with a six-man rotation, so Bailey Ober will be ticketed for St. Paul along with Louis Varland and Simeon Woods Richardson. So that rotation could absolutely be loaded. Jordan Balazovic will be there eventually as well. The bullpen should be a much better situation than it was last year for Baldelli. And it does appear the Twins waived Dennis Santana in the last handful of days here, so they do have an open 40-man spot. It appears that will be ticketed probably for Jeff Hoffman, former first-round pick. Spent some time with Cincinnati last year, has kind of moved into a relief role, decent velocity, believe he's a lefty. And so there could be some long man potential there, but he also does have significant strikeout ability. It's really in the lineup, though, that things got maybe a little bit dicey and interesting over the last few days. Jorge Polanco, I was down in Fort Myers last week, is probably not going to be ready to go for opening day, and honestly, I'm not sure how soon he's going to be ready beyond that. The knee just has not responded well. He looked pretty awful in his rehab assignment with the Saints at the end of last year, and he's still dealing with what the Twins are calling knee tendinitis. He had a compression sleeve on that, I believe it's the left knee, as late as last week, and is not doing anything except live at bats. He did look to me like he was walking with somewhat of a limp or a hobble. It's just not a great sign for Minnesota, and obviously having traded Luis Arraez, I still love that trade. Pablo Lopez means more to Minnesota than Arraez does at this point, but that second base position is going to be in flux for a little bit of time. Polanco is entering the last year of his deal unless he hits 550 plate appearances for Minnesota, which does not seem likely at this point. I would tab Kyle Farmer as the opening day second baseman. That probably opens up a spot for Edouard Julien to excel at Double-A and jump maybe from Double-A or make a short stop in Triple-A. He looked great during the World Baseball Classic, so he's not a true second baseman, not a guy that's going to play there every day, but that bat could definitely push himself into the lineup. Donovan Solano will get time there. Honestly, Willie Castro could be a non-roster guy that makes some noise too and potentially factors in for Minnesota there. It also opens up the door as Royce Lewis comes back this summer and Brooks Lee excels this year again. Those guys could be looking at time at second and third base. Jose Miranda is back in the lineup playing defense. He is getting time at first base, which I think is a direct reflection of where Alex Kirilloff is. He did start playing minor league games at the end of last week, but it doesn't look like there's enough runway for him to get ready for opening day. And honestly, I wasn't super impressed with where he looked to be. The swing is not that prototypical smooth Alex Kirilloff swing. He did make some decent contact, but a lot of the rounds of BP that I saw, just it wasn't that super happy, successful, smiling face that he puts out when he's definitely just raking. I think, potentially we get back to that, but the wrist is clearly still an issue. Byron Buxton did get to his first spring training game on the Major League side this last few days. He is going to start the year as a designated hitter. I would imagine the Twins will try to wean him out of that as the weather gets warmer, but it makes that Michael A. Taylor acquisition this offseason that much more important to have a gold glove, platinum glove type guy backing up Buxton and being able to play in the outfield. The Twins should be plenty good defensively still. So Few things to iron out yet this spring. I would expect Friday to be a big day of cuts and moving some players around. I do think it will be announced here eventually that Austin Martin probably will miss the season, undergoing Tommy John surgery to fix his UCL. So that's disappointing. He looked good in the fall league and was having a nice camp. So check back next week.